This is Chats with Ryan Trainer from Tassie Bushranger and
PJ from Addicted to Grow, and welcome. Hello, mate. How are you? Hey, mate. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Yourself?
Yeah, really well.
So how's
Yeah.
your week?
Yeah, it's good. You know, being Men's Health Week it's been really awesome, but it's also been really like I've jumped on the Australian Men's Health Forum Health Week forums every day, and I met a lot of people you can connect with in Tassie actually.
Oh, really? Cool.
And
Yeah.
and one of the blokes has already met you before because I mentioned that you started the Tassie Man Walk.
Yeah.
And he thinks he knows you from that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it's yesterday was the Tasmania, and here we go. Jonathan Bedlow.
Oh, yeah. I've met him through Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, things didn't line up for him to come to the Man Walk, so I haven't actually met him in person yet, but yeah.
Yeah. Because I mentioned you, and he knew the name as well. He goes, "Yeah, Ryan." He goes, "I'm pretty sure I know him."
Yeah, he lives 10-minute drive from me. It's a small world, isn't it?
Oh wow, yeah. So he's really interested to get in touch with you again.
Yeah, I should get in touch with him.
Yeah, Brendan Sullivan, and there's another guy here, James Rice. James Rice, he's in Tassie as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recognise those last two names, but I might look them up.
Yeah, he's really. I'll flick you these two photos so you've got them, so you know who they are.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, they're very looking forward to catching up.
Yep.
With you.
So they were on the Men's Mental Health Forum, did you say?
Yeah. So you can become a member of the Australian Men's Health Forum for free, obviously, and then just jump on the connect part, and you just connect with other men that are on this similar path as us, and creating mental health awareness and stuff like that. And I guess probably to really cap off my week is really understanding that we don't recognize from our little space in the world how much of an impact we're actually making until these kind of recognition things come out. And then all of a sudden, even in the last week, people have reached out to me and just said, "Fuck man, keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. You're making an impact in the world." And then all of a sudden you hear it from such a different place. And then instead of putting pressure on yourself to continue pushing, it's kind of like, oh, I just got to kind of wake up and just do it every day anyway, because it comes from a place of somewhere I want to help. So that was probably a big realization to go, oh wow, I didn't realize how much impact I'm already making, and I don't really have to push that hard.
Yeah, and more people are watching than you realize, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I experienced this week where someone who I haven't really seen since I was a kid, but I have on Facebook, I saw them and they're asking how my veggie garden's going and everything, because they've been watching my videos and posts on Facebook. And a few people recently, really, when I've seen them, I've gone to tell them something I'm doing. They're like, "Yeah, I know, we've been following along what you've been up to." And I forget.
Yeah.
Everyone's watching stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really it's really insightful, and it's really sort of, I guess you don't realize it until someone gives you feedback.
Yeah.
Because we know on a daily basis what we're doing, and obviously we do this weekly, and they come around like that. And then all of a sudden you put it out there, and then someone just goes, "Oh yeah, it's so good. I've been watching it, and wow, thanks."
Yeah. I'll have to jump on that mental health forum and check it out.
Yeah. And did you see the Australian Dad Network release the shirts again?
Yeah. So I've ordered one. I saw you'd ordered one.
Yeah, I jumped on. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I think this year, I really noticed. I really noticed in the last. I probably really noticed in the last week really is to really push, not push, but just to be thankful of everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's a summary of my whole week, is just to realize how much we're actually doing and what's happening in the world, and that we're making a big difference. And yeah, I think being in that Australian Dad Network group, and obviously with Liam and Corey, is just a really big opportunity to just keep spreading the word on creating a space for men and us to really talk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I like that group. I don't know how Facebook can be a bit funny. It doesn't show you stuff for a while. And I think maybe I hadn't commented for a little while, so it stopped showing me the posts in there. And now I've posted and commented a bit. It's starting to show me the content again.
Yeah, I did the same thing, because I was like, I swear I've been going in there, and I was like, oh, well, I better start doing more. And it started popping up again.
Yeah.
Social media.
And yeah, I really like how the shirts say forming mateships from coast to coast or something like that.
Yeah.
Literally what's happened with us. So I thought that.
It's pretty ironic.
So,
I think that trek that you showed me, that you tagged me in, yeah, we got to make that happen.
Yeah, I sort of looked into it a little more, and basically it can take anywhere from 6 to 14 days depending on how you want to do it. So
yeah, right. Yeah, cool.
We'll obviously have to discuss in a bit more detail. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Overland, but it's probably the most popular walk in Tasmania, sort of Tasmania's iconic walk, I guess. And so it's one I've always wanted to do, but obviously being such a long walk, it is a bit of a commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like the Kokoda, but I guess a little bit more tame. It's just long.
Yeah, and cheaper.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, but an old guy in the nursing home probably 12, 18 months ago, who loved bushwalking. I was talking to him one day and I said, oh, did you do the Overland track? Because he was Tasmanian born and bred. So I just was presuming it was definitely going to be a yes, but he actually welled up with tears and the answer was no. And he planned to do it with a group once and it fell through and he just never got back to him. And a real big regret he had as a 90-year-old that he never got to do the Overland.
Damn.
So it was a bit of a wake up for me that, got to do it while I can, because you never know.
For sure.
I might be 90 and never have.
Yeah.
So it sort of, jumped up my priority list. So when I saw it was half price for this year, I thought, oh, well, that's a good a sign as any to make it happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm definitely keen on doing that one.
Yeah, so I just quickly looked it up just then so I could see it. So, $200 1st of October, and
yeah, so this year it's 100 instead of 200, which I mean,
yeah, in
a way it's only $100, but it's still.
Oh, that's $100 for me to get there.
Yeah,
I think it's something we should do for sure.
It's basically, there's the main track and then there's side tracks off that, which includes Mount Ossa, which is the highest peak in Tasmania.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely something we will discuss further. And I also this week, which sort of anticlimax a bit, but I applied to be a volunteer with the SES during the week. And the response came back that they're actually in my region at capacity for volunteers, so apply again in another 12 months.
Oh yeah, so they're full. Yeah. Actually, I was gonna sign up for SES in Goulburn actually, but what I noted, what I really had to do was actually pull back, because I'm taking on too much.
Yeah.
So even though it was going to be voluntary and it would have given me a lot of satisfaction in that sort of area for me, it would have just flooded me with You know, and I need to be fair to myself on this kind of like,
Hey.
it just was not high enough on my priority list.
Yeah.
I looked at everything that I'm doing and I'm like, wow, if I push myself in men's health and I'm doing these programs with these businesses and I'm doing this, because I'm pushing PT out now. Like I'm planning as of July to not do any more personal training.
Yeah.
I'm really pushing into the mental health stuff. But what I'll do is like I can write someone a program, but they go and do it on their own. So I'll give them the program, but they're not going to do it here. This is more just for coaching and mentoring. And the more that I do that, I think to myself, if I'm going to really stand out for these businesses and provide like an external service in counseling and therapy and men's health, you know, the last thing that I want to do would be hang on, I'll just type this in here, 3 months.
You don't want to be burning yourself out and not being able to provide that support as a mentor, do you?
Yeah. Because if I'm doing that, and I respect the space. Obviously, it's voluntary and it's such a good service. But if I was to do that, and I was to get someone who's already paying for my service externally, and then they were booked in, and I had to be away from it, it's kind of like I'm just letting that guy down because that guy committed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for me it was, I don't know if you saw, there was a 14-year-old boy that got lost last week, it must have been now. And I was watching that on the news, and it definitely touched me, and just thinking that I've got an interest in some amount of skills and interested in furthering my skills in that area. So they obviously don't need people at the minute, but something I'm going to go away and look at doing is my wilderness first aid.
Nice.
Which is something I've sort of wanted to do but haven't done.
Yeah.
So get that done, and then I've got that skill ready for when they do need people.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I think like, and not only that, it kind of suits you. You know what I mean? Like it's something that you really want to do. So it's full on. Yeah, I think they were talking about actually those two guys. Like I've sent you the photos now, but those two guys, or those three guys in Tassie, you know, they'd also be really good connections to get, you know, your stuff going with as well. Just because it's about that, you know, like you, I guess if you look at it, if you look at like your running and then obviously the man walk, like it's almost like I'm just thinking really, really far ahead, and I don't want to get too far ahead of the ball. But if you were to say do like the man walk once a week, get a good group to that, and then do, you know, like fitness stuff like running if anyone was interested. But you could almost stand out as someone who starts setting up like the walk along that overland as like a thing, as like a retreat. You know, and that becomes like a yearly thing, you know, and you know, Tassie the Bushranger becomes, you know, Ryan from Tassie the Bushranger becomes like we're going on Ryan's retreat, you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking way down the track, you know, maybe 12 months or longer. But if you were to set that up now in the flow, it's kind of like, the whole, like, you know, just because what I'm noticing is that providing a space for men to talk is more, it's more important to do that than really to create programs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're giving them resources and stuff. So what I'm noticing now is I'm creating business programs, but if I go and see the businesses on a weekly basis, I'm just providing them with a space to talk.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing is working better with that is that I've invited the business that I'm working with, you know, I've said, hey, you boys start at 8:30 in the morning. I said, Tuesday morning, like, let's make it a work thing that you come on the man walk. There's another 6 blokes.
Yeah.
you know, and I'm just like, just come and get to know someone, and we'll just make that part of like your weekly thing. And then I'll turn up, and then we'll go from the man walk in the morning, 6 a.m., finishes by 7. You know, we'll grab some coffees on the way. Then we'll get to work, and we'll have like your little motivational morning till 9 or till 8, really. And then you just start like half an hour early.
Yeah.
You know, because they're a panel shop full of blokes, and that's sort of like that old school mentality. And I've got them on a separate program for business stuff. But as far as like just providing a place to talk, it's kind of like, you know, in my eyes, I don't see any excuse why you can't make it at 6 a.m. in the morning. You start at 8:30. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I
great.
sort of put it to the boss like that, and he just goes, "You got a good point, actually." And I said, "Yeah, we'll make it part of work."
Yeah.
Tuesday morning, you start early, and then like maybe on a Friday afternoon, if everything's done, you go home like an hour early. Like,
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I actually yesterday met up with another dad through a Hobart Facebook group. When
Cool.
I had coffee with him, with Grace and his boy, who's a bit older. Yeah, got along really well. He's interested in bushwalking and has just started a bit of a veggie garden himself, and used to do boxing. So lots of common ground there with him.
Yeah,
And
cool.
meeting up again next week for coffee again. So
Yeah,
that was
nice.
pretty cool. And there was a few other guys that were going to meet up, but it fell through with them. So hopefully be able to organise something again. And there's a dad's walk this Saturday afternoon as well. If the weather holds off, it's a bit dicey here at the minute.
Yeah, I was going to say some of them.
More blokes through that. So
yeah, that's really good, Ryan. That's awesome.
Now that COVID's over and we can start catching up again.
Yeah. We're allowed 20 here in New South now. So yesterday we had 20 on the walk. We got a whole heap of them. We got a whole heap of guys to the breakfast.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say? And the owner of the McDonald's, he's an advocate for men's health, and he passed on to us 500 free coffees.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right.
So that was good for the rest of the year. He passed them on to our man walk, and just really promote that. I'm really going to. I think I'm really going to push like the man walk every week, because I think because of the numbers last week, it's just one of those things that's really needs to be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have that.
Yeah, just posted in our group today, because we haven't started back up yet. So I just did a post today saying what's everyone want to do as far as getting started. Because when we finished up, we were discussing maybe changing to Saturday a little later in the morning as winter hits. Now winter's hit. Possibly be changed to a Saturday a little later. Because as they all told me, the other guys that were doing it with me a bit older than me, they're not keen on winter mornings.
That's understandable.
So, I posted in a few spots asking people if there was any particular topics or questions they wanted us to talk about today. And I only got the one response, and unfortunately it was only this morning, so I didn't get much time to look into it. But I will raise it and then give my little answer to see what you think of that. So the question that came through is the correlation between false rape accusations and parental alienation versus the high suicide rate amongst men. So obviously it's a very deep and complex question, I guess.
Very, very, very.
And so, I really didn't have time to research it. But the thought I had from it is that those situations, rather than saying they're the cause of suicide, I would say they're more the catalyst that maybe would lead to it. And I think that no matter what the catalyst is, the cause cause of it comes more from the feeling of hopelessness and being alone, and that there is nothing the person can do, which I think for a more broader sense is something to be focusing on, is making people aware that it's not hopeless and they're not alone, and that there are all these things that we talk about a bit, support networks in place. So if someone is coming to a point of suicidal thoughts, it doesn't really matter where they've come from to have those thoughts. Just that there is still something they can do is what I was thinking of focusing on.
Yeah, so I'm just going to break. That's really good. I like the way you put it, actually. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it down. So I'm looking. I just quickly looked it up. I just looked up like false accusations of rape in the Forbes, like in the Forbes magazine, right? This is just their little thing. I'm not going to read from it because that's not my opinion, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to read this from my own view.
Yeah.
False rape accusations. The first thing is if you're accused and you know it's untrue, and then you take that on board, you taking it on board causes the problem inside you. I'm going to look at this totally from my own view. So if someone is falsely accused, and like the hardest thing, it's word against word. The best thing, or I guess the thing to really be in control of, is your state of mind, body, and soul. If you know that you didn't do it, if you know you didn't do it and you're being accused, it's kind of like, well, then why does it matter? Because if you're true to yourself, right, and you know that you did nothing wrong, first of all, if it goes as far as court and so on, right, there's nothing you can do. And we've seen that, if you go back through history, there's plenty of unjust decisions that have been made in court, right? Yeah. But the first thing is if you're being true to yourself and you know you didn't do it, the first thing comes down to is, are you letting it affect you or are you not letting it affect you? That'll be the first thing. The second part of the question, so the correlation between that and parental alienation. Okay, so alienation. If someone's going to be held against their children because of a false accusation, that's rough. I've never been in that situation, so I really can't comment on that. But I really feel for those who have been in that position, and honestly, when I get in touch with that side of me, I couldn't imagine anything worse, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's pretty full on. And I can see how suicide can come out of that. So, false accusations and the correlation between that and alienation, it's kind of like there's so much involved in that question that it's so hard to relate for me without having gone through it.
Yeah.
So if you listen to this recording, the highest suicide rate amongst men, to be honest, has a deeper feeling to me rather than just parental, alienation and false rape accusations. To me, the high suicide rate amongst men stems actually down from the fact that we as men put too much pressure on ourselves to be a dad. And we think in our mind that there's not enough support for us out there. I think that's where the high suicide rate comes in. And that's my own view. So this is why, obviously, Ryan, you and myself are on this mission, and like the Australian Dad Network and Australian, Men's Health Forum, this is why we're doing this, you know, and there's so many other businesses out there, and there's so many other men's health groups out there. And this is why we're doing this, because it's such an alarming thing about men getting themselves out there and talking more.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we're not doing enough, because of fear of being judged, lack of feeling safe, and then that pressure that we put on ourselves to continue to achieve. And that's where, that's where I think it stems from, but that's my view.
Yeah,
So,
that real
yeah.
macho mentality of,
Mm.
that, I guess, trying to kid yourself that you don't need the help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're lucky now in that men's health is taken a lot more seriously, and there is a lot more readily available help. And I mean, even just the fact that we have the internet, of how easy it is to find that help. So really the hard part now is admitting that you need that help and taking that first step.
Yeah.
To tell someone you need help. So I guess if anyone is watching this that feels they want help, it's really just ask for that help. And once you've done it, I think even just the asking in the first place is a huge weight off your shoulders. And a realization that once you ask, realizing that it isn't so bad, and that people aren't there to judge you, they're there to support you. And yeah, once you're over that little hurdle, I think it's it gets a lot easier from there, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's I think it's a good way of putting it, because that question's very, involves a lot of statistics that we haven't done any research on, and part of that is not, it's not something. The statistics are alarming, but for me and my vision and Addicted to Grow is knowing that everyone has some type of addiction or fear, even if the addiction is fear of speaking up, right? For me, the focus game is looking forward and who can we help? And the labels, and I'm going to read this politely. So Scott, if you're watching, right? Labels don't define us. The way we speak to ourselves and the way we think about ourselves is what defines who we are. No one else. So for me, that's my vision. That's my view. And that's where I would leave it, is like, don't worry about the label, false accusation or not, parent alienation or not. It's kind of like, it's always going to come down to the effort that you put in for yourself and for your kids, if you've been that way, but also the guys that are stuck and feel like they've got nowhere to go. This is why we're doing it. So yeah, if you're out there and you're listening, reach out to us.
Yeah. And yeah, so it really comes down to mindset. And I guess part of that reaching out is learning how to improve that mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
For me, as I've talked about before, of my anxiety in the past around communicating with people, particularly people I don't know, it became it was a problem, and it stayed a problem because I tried to just say it doesn't exist, and basically by saying it doesn't exist meant I didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It still didn't fix the problem at all.
Yeah.
And once I started saying, okay, it is a problem, it's something I've got to work on, it started improving very quickly once I actually admitted it was there to deal with in the first place.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that step of realizing and admitting there's a problem and doing something about it, I guess.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I really I love about us as humans, and more we learn about ourselves. Once you what you resist in your head will persistently show up in your life. So the more you resist it, it'll just continue to show up. And then the moment that you actually own it or take responsibility of it, and you go, okay, I admit, I accept, it all of a sudden becomes something that you go, yeah, well, what can I do next? And then you start going into this big learning process.
Yeah.
And you and I both are example of that, talking about some of the stuff that we've spoken about today, for example, and talking about some of the stuff we have in our past. So
yeah, definitely.
Full on. It's a full on thing, men's mental health, but we focus on the future and creating a space safe for men, to come forward and not to be judged is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott, good question. If you watch this back, Scott, that's a good question. It's really deep, full on.
Yeah, I'll make sure I send it through to him.
Yeah, tag him in it and see what he thinks, and obviously his feedback as well would be great.
Yeah.
So what have you got on? What have you got on for the rest of the week? So on the weekend you're going for a catch up with another few blokes.
So tomorrow Grace's music classes start back tomorrow.
Yep.
COVID, so that was a favourite activity with my wife before. Got cancelled for a few months, so excited to go to that one. So tomorrow, and then Saturday meeting up with some blokes, and then on Sunday I was going to go for a big bushwalk on my own, but it's meant to rain all day, so possibly postpone it. Not that I'm afraid to go in the rain or anything, but part of it, I haven't done the walk before, but there's a really steep part, and I'm worried in the wet it's going to be near impossible to get up or dangerous to get it. So, I might have to postpone that one.
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And that'll probably be our week. And then next week's Grace's first birthday. So.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's cool. 1 year already. Jeez.
It's
yeah.
Crazy how fast the time goes. I really lose track of time.
Yeah, that's full on.
How are you big the rest of the week?
I'm just looking at my schedule now, actually. I've got a couple of coaching calls, catching up with one of my American clients tomorrow morning. And I'm just really trying to build like an overseas recognition. So that's going really well.
Yeah.
So I've got, a bit of coaching during the day. And I've started to make a lot more time for myself. So tomorrow I actually finish sort of around about 4:00. And then I'm off for the rest of the day. So I'm going to try and, I'm just going to try and sort of chill out and then just enjoy some me time. I'm going to try and get into a bit of my book that I've got from Luke Kennedy, which is called Stabbed Ego. Sydney boy, and he's I don't have the book with me. He was 8 years as like a lot of drugs and a lot of like tagging and big Sydney, what do you call it? The group, like gangs and stuff like that. So I met with him a couple of weeks ago. So it was good to get his book and do a bit of that. But mate, I think for the next couple of days, mate, it's going to be a lot of self-care for me, to be honest. I feel as if the week is calling it for me, to be honest. It's calling out to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to take that time for yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because in a way, I feel like I got a lot of time for myself at the minute with Grace, like when she's playing on her own and that, but then it's still really, if she's happy, it's what can I get done around the house while she's happy. So
yeah.
I'm hearing you.
Yeah.
All right then.
All right, brother.
I will talk to you during the week.
Always a pleasure.
You too.
If you get out on Saturday and you meet up with some blokes, obviously have a great time. And I think it's June 17. I reckon, Ryan, if we put a date stamp on something in October or November, mate, I'd be happy to join you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'll message you and we'll start nutting out a bit more detail on it.
Yeah, I'll try and get another couple of blokes that'll be interested too.
Yeah. Awesome. All right,
mate. Take it easy. Bye, Grace.